Hi folks, Khaled here. As some of you may know, on the 28th of December, actually on the 29th I believe, I said that I was going to reveal something quite huge. Something absolutely extraordinary, something that was really quite shocking. And this is it, this is the time I'm revealing it as I promised. And this is the whole story as you will see. So on the 28th of December I was celebrating in a post on Twitter X the fact that I managed to get somebody, an anti-Semite, held accountable. Taqadum al-Khatib, an Egyptian academic who lived in Germany, a horrible anti-Semite who supported Hamas, and I managed to have him held accountable. In response to my tweet, a woman under the name of Lamia, a Twitter account, or X account under the name of Lamia, responded to my tweet with anti-Semitic, basically anti-Semitic slurs and accusations, as you will see. Here we go. So she's saying that she thinks I'm pretty despicable, living in Germany herself, but what I'm saying is basically a lie, and that Germany is slowly going back to the Third Reich, except that this time the hate is directed at Arabs, and that I was manufacturing consent for genocide, Gaza genocide. And then she said she doesn't see any evidence of what I'm claiming about this man, and suggesting that I was paid by the state of Israel. And then she made a post on her own Twitter saying that I'm a despicable Third Reich agent and crystal Nacht traveler contributing to the censorship of Arab intellectuals in Germany. And that this attack against Taqadum al-Khatib, which is me exposing him, she's referring to this as an attack, is basically for speaking out against the genocide in Gaza. Taqadum al-Khatib is an anti-Semite, as you all know, and we've revealed this before, so there's really no point talking about this. But then she says that I am probably on Israel's Hasbara payroll. And then she went to my LinkedIn account, obtained some information from basically about my professional career at a very early stage in my professional career, saying you're a manager of a close protection and guard service company with barely a BA from an unknown university, taking on a high-level academic on false pretense, trying to compensate for something. This is where she's asking, and obviously posting a GIF, which is obviously very rude, suggesting that I'm trying to compensate for something by exposing Taqadum al-Khatib. Now after this, as you can imagine, when I saw all this and she went to my LinkedIn account, I got a notification that somebody checked my LinkedIn account. So I went and checked who was having a look at my LinkedIn account and posting all that stuff from my personal and professional background, and I realized that it was a woman called Lamia Burkhardt. Lamia Burkhardt, unfortunately, is a UN official. I will show you her CV right now. But then I realized that we have a UN official who went to my LinkedIn account, took information from my LinkedIn account, and then went to Twitter and posted that information and used it against me, making again anti-Semitic slurs and essentially promoting anti-Semitism. And this is Lamia's account, as you can see. So, as you can see on the right is basically a download of her LinkedIn profile. Immediately when I saw that she checked it, I downloaded this. I always take evidence for everything. And I took this evidence, and as you can see, Lamia Burkhardt, comms strategist, and on the left you see her name, Lamia, comms planner. She said she lives in Germany, and again, as you can see, her location is Germany, on both accounts, the LinkedIn account and the Twitter account. So we've got somebody with the same name, somebody with the same physical location, and somebody with the same job title, communications strategist, communications planner. So essentially, we've got the same person. And this was my suspicion. So I went to the United Nations and I raised this, and I want to show you exactly what happened. But before I actually raised it, I want to show you these tweets. So I went to check her out and take screenshots of her Twitter account, and as you can see, she's saying, "Great, dismantle the Nazi Israel state now." And she's also saying, she's celebrating the fact that Henry Kissinger died on the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. He won't be missed, rest in hell. And then she's saying she doesn't see a problem here. She's responding to a tweet saying referring to somebody who's basically supporting Hamas, saying he's 100% right we prefer Hamas to Israel 1,000 times. So all these are her nasty tweets. And then, as you can see over here, she's basically saying, again, making some very horrifically anti-Semitic comments in response to a tweet by Yusuf Haddad, an Israeli Arab activist. And over here we can see that she was targeting Rabbi Shmuel Rachman, who's based in America. He's an American rabbi. He was posting a photo of essentially a Hanukkah and the Star of David, and she's referring to these symbols as essentially symbols of Nazism. She's saying, all right, so I get it. Germany was Nazi now, but now Germany is Nazio, as in Nazi Zionist. So she's basically suggesting that, again, the Star of David and the Hanukkah are symbols of Nazism. So I started looking into her, as you can see, and here is an article about Lamia. It's saying that Lamia is a dual Tunisian French national. She's been working for the UN for a very long time, and basically she manages the UN Human Rights Office. She manages their social media stuff, and showing us some information about Lamia. I'll post this information later on. But now we go to Lamia's Twitter account, and then when I called her out, she decided that she was going to delete her Twitter account. She also deleted her LinkedIn account after I called her out on Twitter for being basically an anti-Semite. Now, after all this happened, I had the evidence. I had the evidence that we have a UN official who's basically suspected of promoting anti-Semitism, making some of the most horrifically anti-Semitic statements, and also supporting Hamas. Publicly saying that she supports Hamas, saying that they prefer, she said, we prefer Hamas 1,000 times to Israel. So I wrote to the United Nations, and I want to show you this was on the 29th of December. So on the 29th, I sent all these emails to the United Nations. Actually, one email, my apologies. So I sent this email to the United Nations saying, hi, I hope my email finds you well. I was targeted by a member of your staff, Lamia Burkhardt. And as you can see, you can read the email here. I won't read it out to you. I'll just show it to you. So I sent this email expecting the UN to take this seriously. I was expecting the UN to actually investigate this thoroughly. You've got evidence that one of your staff, a research consultant, somebody who was a research consultant for the United Nations Human Rights Office, somebody who basically manages the United Nations Human Rights Office social media, somebody who's really involved in research on human rights, on discrimination, on racism, on xenophobia, blah, 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 you name it, all the great stuff that any anti-racist would be involved in. And this was shocking for me because I sent it to the UN expecting, again, like I said, a thorough investigation. Now I want to show you the response to me. They responded, so I sent the email around a little after 2 p.m. And I received the UN's response at around 10:10 p.m. of the same day. And here it is. As you can see, dear Mr. Hassan, blah, blah, blah. We have taken your concerns very seriously and appreciate you bringing them to our attention. And as you can see, again, I won't read it out, but they are saying conclusively that this Twitter account tweeting Lamia is definitely not run by our colleague Lamia Burkhardt, who does not have an active presence on X. The only public account she has is a LinkedIn account that has been hacked. And then they're demanding, as you can see, that I urgently take down my tweets against her. And this was Alessandra Vellucci. She's the Director of Information Service at the United Nations office in Geneva. So 2 things to note here, actually 3 things. Number 1, Lamia, they said that they conclusively have determined, they've run a thorough investigation and conclusively have determined that Lamia does not have a Twitter account. And the second thing is, Lamia's LinkedIn account has been hacked. And the third thing, was basically demanding me to take down my tweets. So I responded to them, and I will again show you my email over here. So I said, actually I made a mistake, I said Mr. Vellucci, it's probably Ms. Vellucci, anyway, thanks for getting back to me. I'd like to make sure I understand what you're suggesting. And then I basically said that we have a Twitter account with the same name, with the same location, Germany, according to her own statement on Twitter, as well as Comms Planner, which is the same job title as she has on her LinkedIn. And then I said, she visited my LinkedIn account, and when she did, it showed on my LinkedIn account, and I could see that this is who she was, and then I called her out, and immediately after this, her LinkedIn account was deleted. So I said to them, you're basically suggesting that someone with the same name and the same job title in the same industry and the same location just happened to have an X account and hurl anti-Semitic abuse at me, and then immediately check my LinkedIn account. Moreover, they're also suggesting that the person who hacked Lamia's LinkedIn account simply happened to delete the account immediately after I called her out on Twitter. And that I was simply just trolling them. I was simply saying, are you suggesting that this is just another coincidence? And then I said to them, I'm a reasonable man. I'd like to believe generally that I'm a reasonable man, and I'd be more than happy to set the record straight and remove my tweets, or even apologize actually. But I would like to see what evidence you managed to collect in almost 7 hours, which is such a short period of time, to conclusively decide that this account was not hers. And I basically said to them, you're now asking me to just take your word for it, despite ample evidence which shows that this is your colleague's Twitter account, which she's using to hurl anti-Semitic abuse and support Hamas. So now we've got someone who, again, has the same name, someone on Twitter with the same name, same job title, and same location, who goes to my LinkedIn account, uses information about me on my LinkedIn account, and then posts that information on Twitter account, using the Twitter account under the same name of Lamia, and then the UN is telling us, no, her LinkedIn account was hacked and she doesn't have a Twitter account. So clearly there is the connection between LinkedIn and Twitter. And then I sent them another email a few hours later saying, I'm awfully sorry, I forgot to mention another significant detail. After the LinkedIn account under the name of Lamia checked my LinkedIn account, she made a comment on Twitter citing a part of my professional experience, which she could only have found through my LinkedIn account. And she's suggesting that I have a small penis, and this exposing Takadum is just compensating for that, allegedly, obviously, which is just absolutely mad. So I said the suggestion that Lamia doesn't have. Actually, I'll show you the email. That will probably make it easier. There you go. So this was my last email to the UN in response to the absurd claim that Lamia does not have a Twitter account and that her LinkedIn account was hacked. And this email was in response to this photo. So when I said she took information from my LinkedIn account, this basically is the information that I'm referring to. So obviously this is just pathetic. This is absolutely mind-blowing. And I want to mention one more details. By the way, I will include a photo of the UN's response to me with the names of the senior officials who are copied in this email where they are telling a bare-faced lie, telling me that Lamia does not have a Twitter account and that her LinkedIn account was hacked. I asked for evidence, they never provided any evidence. And by the way, the UN executives who are included and copied in this response to me include the spokesperson for the Secretary General. We're talking about the most senior UN officials copied in an email where they are potentially covering up for one of their staff, supporting a terrorist group and making anti-Semitic statements and targeting people with anti-Semitic slurs. So this is absolutely mind-blowing. This is at the most senior level of the United Nations. And like I said, I will include in the comments a photo of the UN's response to me so that you can see all the officials who were actually included in this email. And that's it. So now the next step, what happened was that the Jewish Chronicle picked up this story And then they communicated with the United Nations to say, what's happening? You have one of your own suspected of basically supporting Hamas and targeting people and making anti-Semitic slurs online. So the United Nations completely changed their story. They said, actually, Lamia did have a Twitter account. But this Twitter account that has been targeting Jews, that has been making anti-Semitic statements, that has been calling for the dismantling of the State of Israel, and actually supporting Hamas publicly, that this Twitter account was also hacked. So they went from, whoa, she doesn't have Twitter at all, we've looked into it, and we can say that she definitely doesn't have Twitter at all, to actually, she does have a Twitter account, or did have a Twitter account, because it's been deleted now. Obviously, she deleted the Twitter account and the LinkedIn account after I exposed her. But that Twitter account was removed. My apologies, that Twitter account was hacked. And it shows you the scale of how far the UN is willing to go to cover up on anti-Semites, to cover up on anti-Semitic UN officials who support Hamas, who tell you publicly that they do support Hamas, that they actually prefer Hamas to Israel 1,000 times, quoting Lamia's own words. So this is a complete cover-up. Initially they tell me actually she didn't have a Twitter account and that her LinkedIn account was hacked. And then they demand that I remove my tweets against Lamia, the tweets that expose Lamia. But then when they realize, whoa, we've got a Jewish publication, one of the most respected Jewish publications, saying to us, what the hell is happening to you? What's happening over there? You've got an anti-Semite who's publicly supporting Hamas. Then they realize maybe we should change the story, because we can't now deny that the Twitter account is Lamia. I mean, she's got her name on it, she's got her job title on it, and she's got her location, Germany, on it. So we can't now pretend that this is not Lamia, because it's such a pathetic 14-year-old lie. So what we're going to do is completely change the narrative and say, hold on a moment, we actually think right now that maybe she did have a Twitter account, but it was also hacked, just like her LinkedIn account. And it happens, folks. I mean, this is laughable. The irony here is that this hacker, let's imagine that somebody is sitting there in Russia or somewhere, some evil country, hacker, one of those, hacking groups, and he decides, ooh, I'm going to hack Lamia's account just to make anti-Semitic statements. It's laughable. I mean, this is a joke. This is absolutely pathetic. What I expected is that when I email the UN, they will say, right, we'll take this seriously. They investigate this and they realize, hold on, we've got an official, somebody who's responsible for a lot of investigations into human rights violations and to a lot of issues related to Israel, related to the Middle East, and obviously somebody who is clearly anti-Semitic, somebody who clearly supports Hamas. So we'll just sack her. And I was expecting that they would send me an email apologizing, saying, we're really sorry you've been targeted by somebody calling you a Third Reich agent. We've just sacked her right now. We apologize to you officially, and then we can all move on. Not lie to me, not try to cover it up. But this is exactly what we've seen right now. So I'm publishing this video, and I'm going to copy all the officials who are actually mentioned, who are copied in the UN's response to me, the initial response where they lie and say that Lamia did not have a Twitter account, and then completely change the story and say actually she did have it. I'm going to copy them in my response. I'm going to add the photos, their response, and add photos of Lamia, what she's been doing, to my comments on this in the tweet where I will basically post this video. And I want you to please make a fuss. I want you to write to every single official you know. I want you to write to every journalist you know. We have the UN covering up on somebody who's potentially, like I said, anti-Semitic and supports Hamas. And I will obviously raise this with the German police and the German government. This will be absolutely reported to them. I've also asked Twitter, by the way, we've also asked Twitter to actually give us evidence. If Lamia says that her account was hacked, her Twitter account was hacked, and her LinkedIn account was hacked, then she can obviously show us evidence. You would obviously get an email saying, oh, suspected activity on your Twitter or your LinkedIn account. If you've had any suspected activity or suspicious activity, for somebody basically hacking your account. It's very easy to prove. So show us the evidence. We will write to Twitter and we'll say, was this account actually hacked? Obviously it's a lie. We all know it's a bloody stupid lie. But this is what I wanted to reveal to you. I wanted to show you how anti-Semitic the UN is. I wanted to show you how far the UN is willing to go to cover up on support for Hamas amongst their own ranks. Support for Hamas and anti-Semitism. Somebody calling for the dismantling of the State of Israel. They're willing to go far. They're willing to institutionally cover it up and lie to us. Because we all know, after all, that the UN is anti-Semitic.
How many times has the UN General Assembly passed resolutions condemning Israel? Approximately.
In the year 2022, there were 15 resolutions on Israel. There was one on Iran, one on Syria, one on North Korea, and 15 on Israel. There have been hundreds over.
Hundreds?
Year. Yeah.
Hundreds, yeah. And every year, probably at least double digits, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how many against the Palestinian Authority?
The Palestinian Authority is never condemned at the United Nations. No.
Israel receives the majority of condemnations in the UN. Not Iran, not North Korea, not Syria, not Iraq, not the Palestinian Authority, which actually kills people who are showing even slight voices of dissent. They murder them. But they don't get condemned. It's Israel that gets condemned. Lamia was not calling for the dismantling of Iran. Lamia was not calling for the dismantling of Syria. She was not calling for the dismantling of any horrific state. She was not calling for the dismantling of Russia. She's calling for the dismantling of the only Jewish state. Because Lamia is an anti-Semite. And unless the UN shows evidence that her account was actually hacked, that Twitter was actually hacked, and it wasn't Lamia making these statements and targeting me and targeting Rabbi Shmuel, then she is an anti-Semite and she does support Hamas. If you show us evidence that prove otherwise, that prove that this was not actually her and that her accounts were indeed hacked, I'll make another video and apologize. Go for it. Show us your evidence. And that's all we can say for now, folks. Thanks for your time. Bye.